So, hello everyone and namaste. I would like to warmly welcome you to our first session of yoga readers, intending to read the Tree of Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar. Some of you are joining us live in our Zoom session, and some are joining through a recording in YouTube. And I would like to thank you all for coming to the session. So today's session is more of an introduction. So I will introduce myself. I will introduce the idea, the goals, the motivations of creating yoga readers. And I will explain how the reading will go about in the next few months. Then I would like to hear from you. What were your motivations for joining, and what would you like to get from this community? And we will finish by talking about what are the platforms that Yoga Readers is working through, and how can we have ongoing discussions between Zoom sessions. So again, everyone. I'm very happy that you are here, that you are joining. This is actually the second book Yoga Readers is reading together. Our first book was Light on Life, also by B.K.S. Iyengar, Bar Guruji. And we read that book through May until September. And now we are starting the Tree of Yoga, and who knows where this will go next. For those of you who don't know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Agi Wittich. I am a Hungarian, German, Israeli. I am located in Jerusalem, Israel, and I am a scholar practitioner. I have been practicing yoga for 2 decades. I have been teaching Iyengar yoga for 15 years. And I am very honored to initiate this project of reading together, of having a digital community. So when I first began practicing yoga as a teenager, I knew nothing about it. I just came to the mat and started practicing with the teacher, and something happened in my body, and I couldn't even put it to words. I was just drawn to it, and I kept on coming back week after week, and it stuck. My teacher left country, and I continued my studies. I had more and more experiences through my body, and that sparked this curiosity in my mind, and I tried to understand and to put into words the things that I was experiencing. So that drove me to my first teacher's training course in Israel when I was 20 years old. And that course actually created more questions that I felt that I had to investigate firsthand. So I got on a plane and went to India. And there I realized that there was really a lot more to it than what I was exposed to in Israel. The theoretical background was practically unknown to me when I was practicing on my mat in Israel. And in India, I realized that there are many kinds of yogas, many systems, traditions, and different texts. So when I returned to Israel, and that was when I found my Iyengar yoga teacher, I also signed up to university. And my first degree was in comparative religions and philosophy. And I just kept on learning about yoga through Sanskrit, through Hinduism, through what we call Indian philosophy, through learning different texts, which include mythology as well, and the history of India. And after my first degree, I felt that I have to keep on investigating. That drew me to my second degree, my MA, and I wrote my master's about yoga in everyday life. I studied a community in South India, in Tamil Nadu. I studied Tamil in order to study that community, which had a wonderful text that is not so known in the West and in different parts of India called the Tirumandiram. And I studied this community of yogis that took vows to live a yogic lifestyle in modern society. And that was fascinating to me. And then when my master's degree was over, I felt like I can't stop here. I still have so many questions. And I was practicing all this time. I got my Iyengar yoga certification as a teacher, and I kept on practicing and I kept on studying for my PhD. I decided I have to research whatever I am actually practicing, which was Iyengar yoga. And as a woman, I decided to focus on Iyengar yoga for women. So I interviewed Geeta Iyengar, Prashant, Abhijata, Sunita, and then whichever senior Iyengar yoga teachers around the world who were willing to be interviewed. So I talked with over 40 teachers from around the world, trying to better understand my own experiences in my practice. So since finishing my PhD, I published several academic papers, and in last April, a book of mine that I wrote with collaboration with two more fantastic scholars came to light. And I felt that I have to find another way of conveying the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge about yoga to other practitioners, other teachers, but also just people who are interested in yoga the way I was. And I thought about opening this digital community. First, I began only in Israel with a Hebrew speaking community, but then there were people from around the world asking to join, and then they were asking me to do the same thing in English, which I was, of course, willing to do. And this is how yoga readers came to be. And I really feel that reading books about yoga increases our understanding of our own practice. And for me, it even explains things about how the world works, how my mind works. And it gives me a sense of clarity when I need to decide how to act, what to do. It sets my priorities much better, and it gives me a sense of belonging also to a greater yogic tradition. So this was, in short, my yogic and academic journey. And I spoke also about how yoga readers came to be. My vision is to have an international community of yoga lovers that read together, and well, together and separately. We read individually, don't we? But we will read at the same time through 2 weeks, one chapter, and then we can discuss it. So whenever we read an inspirational quote, we can post it in our Facebook group. Whenever we have a question, we can post it as well. You are always welcome to write to me through WhatsApp. And we can have ongoing discussions between Zoom sessions. And of course, when we meet in Zoom, there is also time for questions and answers, and having a friendly discussion as well. So why read books about yoga? Why do I think that just practicing on the mat is not enough? Because I feel that, as I told you, not everything can be conveyed through words in a yoga practice. When we practice our asanas and pranayamas, we are looking within, and it is difficult to learn about the bigger picture and to look within at the same time. So I feel when I practice and also when I teach, that we take the focus inward to our bodily sensations, to our thought process, to our emotions. So we go in. And when we go in and we observe what is inside, we also might have a context, right, of what is going on. But the focus is going in. And when we are reading, the focus goes outside. It goes to the past. It goes to theoretical levels. It goes to our effort to try and understand something that is greater than us. So in a way, it comes back to our body and our existence and our sensations, but the focus goes out when we read something theoretical. And in in the yogic tradition, so outside of Iyengar yoga and going back in time, and a very important part of the yoga practice, apart from abhyasa, or maybe a part of abhyasa of the practice, is swadhyaya, is learning. Now, this can be learning of texts, and this can be self-exploration. As I see it, texts help me self-explore. When I read something, when questions rise, when the text raises questions for me to explore within myself, in my practice, or in my everyday life, that's the communication between outside and inside, the outward exploration and the inward exploration. It also gives me this context of what is going on with me, that I am part of a greater tradition. What happened to me, this amazement of a spontaneous kumbhaka. I'm not the first person to experience this retention of breath. It happened to others before me. It will happen to others after me. And it gives me this context, this connection to a lineage and a tradition. And through reading and practicing, I feel that there is a good integration between the physical and the theoretical parts of yoga. So for me, reading is a sadhana, is a spiritual practice in its own. The same way that I open a mat and practice on it, and my phone is put to silent mode, the world is outside of that moment. I'm not answering questions. I'm not doing assignments. I'm not troubleshooting. I'm just on my mat practicing. That's my spiritual practice. And I focus on one thing and I explore that one thing. The same thing when I'm reading a book. I sit down, I hold my book in two hands, so I cannot do anything else this time. I cannot clean, I cannot fix things, I cannot text. I'm just reading. I'm just focusing on this one thing. I'm giving it all my attention. And that's also, in my view, a sort of a spiritual practice. So that's me for now, and I would like to hear from you. Whoever would like to open their mics and share, and you can relate to. I will post now some questions. You can relate to all of them or some of them, but I'm really interested in hearing from you. I think the basic things would be your name, where you're from, and your experience in yoga. And also, if you can talk about an intention that you have for our reading journey. But I'm also interested in what drew you to this reading community and what aspects of yoga philosophy most interest you. How do you hope to integrate these teachings into your practice, or if you're a teacher, into your teachings? And also, what support would you like to get from this community? So you are more than welcome to open your mics now.
Hello, I can start since no one's saying anything. My name is Maria Edström. I'm from Sweden. I'm a Iyengar yoga teacher. And I have a lot of Iyengar yoga books, but I haven't really discussed them that much with anyone else. So I thought this would be a very good way of just like digging into the books again. And I really like Kriya Yoga, so I thought that was a good start. So I'm just that you started this group. That's me.
Thank you, Maria. Anyone else?
Well, I can say a few words. My name is Natasha. I'm from Croatia. And what drew you to this reading community? Well, I just saw the notice on the Facebook, and I would say, like Maria said, we have a lot of books, and I agree with her. We don't discuss it, I would say, enough between us. And I would say that one part of yoga for me is sadhusanga, which means association with similarly minded people, and discussing philosophy of yoga, which is very deep subjects. It helps us to understand it a little bit better, because sometimes we can have only one perception of the, I don't know, certain statement or whatever. But then when we discuss with others, we hear it from a different perspective. And it's same like when people come to Iyengar yoga, they learn, oh, this you can do this asana in this way, and you can do it in the other way. So they broaden their mind. So in the same way with philosophy, I see that when we discuss things, we hear from different, and then we churn it and churn it and churn it, and then we get deeper into it. So I think this is very inspiring, and I also like this book. I think it's very nice that it's small, so we can, come to a conclusion and, see how it goes. And yeah, I'm hoping to get inspired. I think also this will help me to go through the book again, because I think I am very busy. I presume everybody else in our life. So reading is, it's important thing for me. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Martina, Cape Town, South Africa. I've decided to join because I think doing Iyengar yoga, you need to be exposed to so many more of other practitioners' point of view, perspective, as Natasha had said earlier, but also to broaden my horizon, broaden my mind, to be more immersed in the subject of yoga. And there's just so much to learn through philosophy that ties in with my spirituality, and I need to explore it further. But there's so much greatness out there, and I think yoga unifies us through that, and it's just finding that commonality that makes us successful in the space of life, not necessarily academia. But yes, I will obviously be researching your work, Aggie. I'm quite interested to know about your papers and what you've written. But definitely, it's more of a personal spirituality journey for me, and I'm starting the teacher's training course quite soon in 2025, and I need to go beyond the point of just knowing basic stuff. I need to know so much more. So I'm going to sap and delve quite deep into the knowledge base that's on this group and really absorb as much as I can. And thank you for being part of the community.
Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, namaste from India. I'm Ratanjali Jain, and I have a very old association with yoga. I started practicing when I was, I think, about 12 or 13. So it's been almost 3 decades. And I have been a student at Iyengar Yoga, Pune, twice when I was there for my studies. And I'm also a master's in yoga, which we call yogic sciences here in India, and a trauma-informed yoga teacher, 200 hours. I'm not teaching as of now because for the last few years, almost 6 years, I've been experiencing a lot of health challenges and a lot of injuries, because of which I had to stop my practice. And that's when I started realizing that yoga is much more than asanas. And it's just one of the limbs of yoga, as we all know. And yoga is far greater than that. And that's what brings me here to this book club. I stay in a very small town of India, and unfortunately, we don't have Iyengar yoga teachers here. Um, although I have been trying to do something or the other as much as I can and stay connected with yoga. So I'm really honored to be a part of this group, and I'm looking forward to learning from all of you. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you.
My name is Michal. Hi, everybody. I live in Israel, and I'm a yoga teacher and a Iyengar yoga teacher. And I had participated in Agi's last reading yoga book, which was Light on Life by Iyengar by Guruji. And it was a lovely, lovely, lovely experience. And I am definitely Agi's groupie from then on. So I can only tell you, hi, Elizabeth. I can only tell you that I'm looking forward, and you all sound like a great company for me, anyhow. So thank you. Thank you, Agi. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Michal.
You're so welcome.
Good morning, I'm Stephanie from the US, and I was in Aggie's last group, and I'm looking forward to the structure for reading the book together, because to me, the books are so dense, I need someone to break it down for me. So thank you very much for inviting us to continue.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. And yes, you raised some good points here. We have some yoga books on our shelves, don't we? And they just lie there. And when do we go back to them? When do we open them? Maybe when a student raises a question, maybe as practitioners, when the teacher says something that sparks a question within us and we become curious and we go to that book. Or maybe when we prepare to a workshop and we want to have an inspirational quote. So when do we turn to books? And then to which book? Do we turn to the Bible of Yoga, as it is called worldwide, Light on Yoga? I think that's the book that Iyengar yogis read the most, whether it's about understanding postures, getting the instructions correctly, seeing variations, maybe reading a bit more about the theory because it's there. It's in Light on Yoga near. So after describing a certain asana, Iyengar then writes what is it good for, and then sometimes there is this cultural story or a part of a mythology for certain postures. So then you can turn to Light on yoga. You can turn to Light on pranayama. Again, if there are questions about how to practice breath control. But what about the other books? So these books were written, Light on Yoga in the 60s. It was published in the 60s. And Light on pranayama in 1981. And then in 1983, Tree of Yoga came to light. That was actually his third book. Then came Light on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and then in 2005, Light on Life, which is the book we previously read, and I highly recommend it. By the way, if you want to watch the recordings of our readings, of our sessions, they are all available on our YouTube channel of Yoga Readers. And the information is also on my website, www.agivitich.co.il, and it's all there. And this book is, as you said, it's much thinner than other books, and especially thinner than Light on Life. So how come it's his third book? How come it found its way into the syllabus of Iyengar yoga teacher training courses? How come it's still relevant? What's it with this book that it was translated to so many languages and that so many people know it? Well, the thing is that its first part is actually about life. It's about yoga and life. It's about different stages of life. It's about these questions that some of us have, or we hear them. Am I too old to practice yoga? Is there an age limit to practicing yoga? Do I need to be very flexible in order to practice yoga? These questions that come about as we start our practice. So it really starts from the basics. It starts from our life. And then it goes on to the structure of the Ashtanga yoga, which is, well, if you want to pick one core idea of yoga philosophy, that could be a very good idea to explain that the asana practice that you experience in class on your mat, that's only one part. There are 7 other parts. Oh, now you're curious. 7 other parts? Well, one more part, that's the breathing part. Oh yeah, I know that part. So I know 2 out of 8. What are the other 6 parts? I'm really interested. So the first 2 are the morals. Okay, I can relate to that. And the last ones are about enlightenment. Oh, that's too far away. But okay, I see where it's going. It starts from having a moral conduct, so having a good life. It goes through what I'm experiencing in class, and then it ends up with this spiritual goal. Okay, I can understand the 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga yoga. That makes sense. So that's actually the second part of this book. And I remember when I first read it, the metaphor of the tree, it's so clear. So the 8 limbs, is that a ladder? Is that like there's one pie? Do I need to accomplish the first one to get to the second one? Or are there still different parts that I have to do at the same time? What is it with the 8 limbs? That's an idea that is hard to understand. But then with this tree metaphor, it really made sense, because trees I don't know about yogic philosophy, but I can understand roots, I can understand the bark and the sap and the branches and the leaves and the flowers and the fruits. I can relate. So it's a very relatable book. Now that's the second part. The third part is about yoga and health and why do people get on the mat? I was curious as a teenager, but most people come because they have some pain, because they have some distress, because they are suffering. And well, this is true to modern yoga as well, but this is true also to many, many, many years ago, because in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is the major text that talks about Ashtanga yoga, and it's the key text in yogic philosophy as we understand it today. It talks about how yoga is a way to relieve suffering. It's a way to stop suffering in our life. It gives us an alternative. And it talks about why do we suffer, and then how we need to understand something in order to live a better life. And then the fourth part is about the journey of the self. So basically enlightenment, how to get enlightenment and what are the parts that lead to it, and divine energy, meditation in yoga, all those things, the more philosophical, theoretical, what we call spiritual part, because I see it, the whole thing is theoretical and spiritual. And at the same time, very practical. And the last part is yoga in the world, which is quite amazing that he wrote about it in the early 80s, because I'm not sure he saw the yoga boom that occurred in the 90s. I'm very interested in modern yoga's history and how it came to be, and the important role of Europe and the US in spreading this around the world. So yoga came to Israel in the 90s. There were very few teachers around before that. And what happened in the 90s was amazing. And I wrote a paper about Yoga Journal, which is a huge paper in the US. I think now it's most digital, but it was a huge thing that helped promote yoga in the consciousness of people, and how it changed through a hippie movement to what we see today in the fitness world. Anyway, even in the 80s, Iyengar, that taught students from around the world, not only in India, and traveled the world, he wanted to write about yoga and the world, so the international yoga community. And of course, he had a lot to say about it later on, after it just exploded and yoga became something that is known everywhere and associated with other things than our just asana practice. It's associated with computers now, and with different clothing items and food. And there is yogic tea and so on and so on. So that's the 5 parts, and they are all very relatable. And what's interesting about this book is that it's written in fragments. You can read 2-3 pages and just put it down. And then the next day, while you're having your morning chai or tea or coffee or just lemon water, you read one more bit. You read a few pages. You don't have to go deeply into reading 20, 30, 40 pages like we did in Light on Life. You can just get one idea about that, another idea about that, and it really helps you to digest what you're reading, but also it really helps the pace of reading. So that's about the Tree of Yoga. Looking ahead, what I prepared for you is a reading schedule of reading each part during 2 weeks. So our next Zoom session will be in 2 weeks. I will send you the timing and the schedule. The Zoom sessions are scheduled for 10 a.m. GMT time from our next session. And in each session, we will talk about what we read. We will read together from certain parts. We cannot read the whole thing together. I will add contextualization, historical background, philosophical insights, or whatever is needed to the reading. And then we will have discussions and questions and answer session to finish each Zoom session. Between each Zoom session, we have a Facebook group where you can post questions, quotes, ideas, thoughts, but also links to other sites or videos that you might feel that are related to the reading. So maybe you just watched an interview with Iyengar where he speaks about old age and yoga, and you just read a part in part 1 that speaks about old age and yoga, and you say, oh, that could be interesting for others reading that part. So you can post that link to that interview on our Facebook group. Or maybe you read a quote, you read something and you feel like, oh, these 2 sentences are really, really meaningful. I want to share them with others that are reading this book. And it helps. It helps others to read. It helps others to understand what they are reading and to get a bigger picture of it. So some of you said, we have all these books on our shelves and we don't read them. This is a great way to read them. I chose the Tree of Yoga now, so you're going to read the Tree of Yoga. But for others that are joining us, if they keep on getting inspirational quotes or external links, it really helps to keep the focus, the mind going back to the reading again and again, because we have our busy lives and we have all the excuses not to read this book, not to read other books. But we decided that we will, and these will help us. You can check now your inbox, because I sent you a newsletter a few minutes ago with the schedule, with some paragraphs about the Tree of Yoga and why I think we should read it. And in the next newsletter, I would like to send you some insights to a philosophical term that comes up in part 1. If there will be more questions on the Facebook group, I might put some more info about different concepts. So whatever comes up in the group, that's what I'm trying to say. I have my own plan of what to do, but if you will have more questions, if you will have more requests, I'm open to it, and we can make it something big, or we can just keep it to basics, which is just reading the books in each part for 2 weeks and getting it over with, and then getting to our next book. But this can grow into something much, much bigger, understanding yogic philosophical terminology, understanding Samkhya theory better, understanding whatever comes up better, or just a narrow reading of whatever is in the book. We can do both. So I talked about our Facebook group, our WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group where I send you reminders of sessions, inspirational quotes. I will send links to these yogi concepts where I explain a bit more about them, go deeper into them. So WhatsApp is a great way to stay connected and to get reminders in time so you don't skip the reading schedule. I will also send you focus questions. They are already in your newsletter. Focus questions for the first part for our reading for this week that starts today and goes throughout next week. So focus questions, and in the next newsletter, I'll give more data and information. And the recordings of the sessions are on YouTube, and all the YouTubes will be available. All the recordings will be available also on my website, where we have one page of just yoga readers and all the information there. I'll post there the focus questions as well for the reading, so you can go back to it as like a master page of all the other infos that are going around. I hope this is clear, and I hope this way we can get reminders on WhatsApp, but not too much noise. And then whenever we're interested, we go into Facebook and we read the comments and we engage in a discussion, ongoing discussion throughout the reading. Because as some of you said, it's not enough to read and just to have my own opinion about what I'm reading. It's very, very helpful to talk about it with others. So if you think you understand the term and someone asks you, what is it? And you answer, you actively engage in better understanding the term. As you know, when you need to explain something to someone, you have to understand it better yourself. So that's also part of this communal reading. Okay, so that's that. Do you have any questions, anything to add? Please open your mic and share.
I did not quite
question.
Yeah. I didn't understand. You said you send a newsletter, but where does that end up? Is it on Facebook, or where is it?
No, the newsletter should be on your inbox, whoever registered for the newsletter. Otherwise I don't have, and I cannot legally send you a newsletter. What I can do, it's in our WhatsApp group description, and I will repost it again on our Facebook group, and I'll send it now to all of you in the chat, in the Zoom chat. So you can sign up for the next newsletter. Here it is. Did anyone receive it? Is anyone here who got the newsletter? Elizabeth got it. Great. Okay. No, Michal, I don't have, you didn't register your email to the newsletter. I actually checked.
And no wonder I didn't get. Okay.
But Elizabeth did. Okay, and we're just starting. So we'll get into the pace of reading, and I think Facebook reminders, WhatsApp reminders, email reminders, we're good. I mean, you need just one of them, right, to know what we are reading. So we're good. Anyone else?
Just to make sure, 10 GMT AM is what in Israel?
It will be noon in Israel.
Noon, 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question, Agi. How long did you plan for these sessions to be long? Usually, I mean, after this one.
Yeah, so it's a good question. So what we had last time was 1 hour when we start on time, and I give a brief explanation about what we read, what are the main themes in the reading, and then we go into the reading. And whoever is participating in the Zoom session and would like to read, we read out from certain paragraphs. Then I stop and I explain a term. Usually it's a Sanskrit term, or I give a historical background. Just for example, today I said that this book was published in 81, before the yoga boom that took over the world. And it's interesting to me as a practitioner, as a teacher, but also as a scholar of yoga, that already in 81, Iyengar had this view of a global yoga community. So that's like an example of the things we get in our sessions. And then we split into different groups, smaller groups, to have a discussion. I'll give you discussion questions like I did today. I gave you some questions in the Zoom chat. And then we meet up together and we finish the session. Until now, so in the last reading, it took 1 hour, 1 hour 15, but it was about 1 hour. I got requests from people to make it longer, to give more time for discussion. It really depends on whoever comes up to the Zoom sessions. By the way, all sessions are recorded, but not the discussions. So I cut out the discussions so that people are more free to talk, and they are not recorded. It is not posted on YouTube. So I do want to give you, on one hand, those who cannot attend the live sessions, they want to hear what we are talking about. On the other hand, those who come and discuss and tell, I didn't get this term. I'm a teacher for 15 years and I'm not sure what this is about. I'm not sure that they will feel free to raise these questions if they are recorded. So we don't record the discussions. And then we again record the finishing part when we remind the next reading and these different media forms or platforms where we communicate in our digital community. I think for most of us, it's quite new that we have a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group and a newsletter and a website, and we all read alone with our cup of tea, but then we read together as well. Ah, someone says that in first edition 88. Well, mine says differently, but okay, we can check it. I think a Light on Pranayama was 81 and 83 was Tree of Yoga. Oh, mine says also 88. So 1988. Anyway, it came out before the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So it's still the third book. But thank you, Maria, for checking and being more aligned with the facts. Anyone else? Okay. So I am looking forward to meeting you again in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts, questions, and quotes on our Facebook group. Feel free to contact me. If it will become overwhelming for me to have too many WhatsApp messages, I will let you know, and then we'll have a certain timing where we can have this communication. But otherwise, just feel free to write to me whenever you have a question. And whoever wants to take part in organizing all the work that is behind the scenes, you are welcome also to reach out. I can use all the help I can get. It's a lot of work that I put into it, just because I really believe in how necessary it is to have all this knowledge out there, and also to encourage people to read the writings of Guruji. So thank you all. And
Aggie,
have a... Yes,
sorry,
Michal.
sorry. So what is the reading assignment? There's so much information that I get overwhelmed.
The first part.
First part.
But because there is so much information, after this session, I will send out a WhatsApp and on Facebook. Today we start our reading. This is the part we are going to read from this page to that page. Here are the focus questions. Here is where you post your questions and quotes. Here is where...
Okay,
I will send you all to make it very, very clear, because you're not the only one overwhelmed. It's okay?
But I need to know before what to read. That's all I'm asking. I need to know.
The first part.
Thank you.
Okay, and I will send it all out. You don't need to remember it. It will be written down.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.